In this video, we are going to do 18.02 playlist. All right, so I have the problem open up in Racket, so we're going to go through it. So notice how some of the data design steps are already done. I recommend you guys go through them and read through them. We're going to do step 4 very shortly. All right, so here are the data definitions. We have genres, the rock, pop, and R&B and funk. And here's the definition of a song. We have an artist, name, time, and genres. And here's the template. And here's some songs, all right? And here's a list of songs. It's one of either empty or cons song list of song. And here are all the songs put into this one list, right? All these songs into this one list. All right, so problem A, finish the template for list of song. So try to pause the video and work through the template that consumes a list of songs, scaffolding it pretty well for the other future problems like B, C, and etc. All right, so pause the video. I'm gonna go over spoilers in 3, 2, and 1. All right, I'm assuming that you guys took a good swing in it. So now let's go over it together. So let's just do the template here. Laying on a good foundation. So list songs temp. So it consumes a list of songs, right? Over here, right? So let's name this parameter songs-ls, all right? And since this is, we're dealing with a list of songs, right? It's either empty, so that's the case there. So what do we do when it's empty? We do something. Otherwise, right? We take the first of the song list, which is going to be a song, and then we want to do something with the rest of the song ls, right? So this rest, right, is going to have to be wrapped into a recursive call to the template here, like so. And this first one, right, first song, right, this is a non-standard data type of Racket. It's not a number, it's not a boolean, it's not a string. And it's a structure that we defined ourselves, right? Therefore, we have to wrap this around a helper function. In this case, we're just going to call songs-temp, right? That's called to the template function, right? Because we're most likely going to need to call a helper function to do things with it and process it. All right, and I'm going to wrap this also around another ... All right, so that fills out a pretty good foundation to use for B and all the other rest of the problems, all right? Anywho, that is the template step done. Now let's move on to problem B. So problem B says, design a function total-playtime that consumes a list of songs and produces the total minutes of all the songs in the given list. So they give us an example here. For example, right, they give us 2 songs by Red Hot Chili Pepper, named Snow and Sick Love. These are the seconds, and then this is the list of genres, all right? And if we call total playtime on the list of these 2 songs, right, these 2 songs, well, we should grab the duration and divide by 60, right? These are seconds, right? And then divide by 60 to get the minutes, because that's what total playtime is supposed to produce. All right, so pause the video and try to work through problem B on your own. I'm going to go with spoilers in 3, 2, and 1. All right, I'm assuming that you guys took a good swing at it. Now let's go over it together. So let's do the signature first. So total-playtime consumes a list of song according to the according to the purpose statement here, and produces the total minutes of all the songs in the given list. That seems like a number, right? Numbers, right? Because numbers are the best data type to represent seconds. All right, now let's do the purpose statement here. So produces the total minutes of all the songs in the given list. All right, so signature, purpose, let's stub this out. Define total-playtime consumes a list of songs. So song-ls, that's what we'll name. Songs-ls is what we name the parameter. Just being consistent with the template here. And produces a number, so we just use 0 as a dummy value. Let's do some tests here. Total-playtime. All right, what happens if we're given an empty list with no songs? Well, just produce 0, right? If your playlist doesn't have any songs and it's 0 seconds long, right? All right, let's do another one. So total playtime. Let's do just a 1 element list with let's copy one of these. Let's actually copy this data definitions down actually. So I'm gonna put it above the example. Yeah, no, I'll put it below. Just gonna put a bunch of dashes and this here. All right, so we don't have to keep scrolling up. All right, so let's do the list. Let's do Complicated by Avril Lavigne. Used to be a pretty popular song back then. Used to be a pretty good song too. All right, so This song is 244 seconds long, so we're going to grab that. 244. And we're going to divide it by 60, right? There's only one song in this list, right? So that's fine, right? So that's the one long list done. We had to do one that's too long, right? So let's just do the example that they give us, right? We call total check expect total playtime on this list, right? Snow and Sick Love, right? A list of these two songs, well, it should produce this, right? Like so. So this slash goes over here, and then we throw out this division around parentheses. All right, and we can do another example. Why not? Let's just do another example, right? Another two-line example. Check expect total playtime list. All right, let's do Shake by Taylor Swift. So it's gonna be that song. And then Happy by Pharrell Williams. So that's gonna be defined above. All right, so we're gonna take the seconds and add them together. All right, so let's say, so Shake is 219 seconds. Pharrell Williams is 223 seconds. Happy is 233 seconds, I mean. And we have to divide these two, some of these two by 60, right? Because we want to produce the total minutes of all the songs in the given list, right? So, like so. All right, so that's a good set of examples here. Let's just run the stub against our examples. Song-ls, this variable is not defined. Oh, it's because I wasn't consistent in naming this, so there we go. The template, I wasn't consistent in that. All right, so I'm going to run this. All right, 315 function call expected a function after the open parentheses, but found a number. Oh, this plus needs to be over here. All right, there we go. All right, there we go. Hopefully that's all the errors done. And likewise, it's just mismatches, right? It's good enough. Okie dokie. So we're gonna hide this now, and we're gonna comment this out. All right. So let's grab a template that consumes a list of song. So here it is, like so. All right. So we rename this total playtime. All right. Now really pause the video. Hopefully this should be all the mental scaffolding needed for total playtime. I'm going with spoilers in 3, 2, and 1. All right, I'm assuming that you guys took a good swing in it. So now let's go over it together. So what do we do in the case of the empty list? If we're given an empty list of songs, well, just produce 0, like so. All right. So now for all the other tests here, right? Well, all of these other tests have a division. So let's just do that over here. All right. So what do we want to divide by? Well, in this first element, second test here, right? We only have one song, right? So we're just 244 divided by 60, right? That's not a really good example to look at because we can have any amount of songs. We can have 2 songs, we have 3 songs, right? 10 songs. So these two examples are probably better to look at, right? So Snow is 315 seconds, right? Here's Snow. It's 315 seconds. I want to add that to Sick Love's duration in seconds, which is 224, right? And then we divide by 60, right? So what we need here is a function that sums up the seconds of the songs, right? So we're gonna have to write, let's say songs. We have to come up with a function that sums up all the seconds. So we're gonna say sum seconds, right? And then just pass it the songs ls, right? And then we divide it by 60 for the minutes, right? All right. So this is a case where the template here kind of didn't really help us because we're not going to use the natural recursion here, and we're not going to take it apart here either, right? That's fine. Right? The template just gives you the general structure. It gives you the general recursive structure at least, right? Of what do you do when it's empty and what do you do in the else case, but we're not going to really use all the other parts. We're going to have to use it for some seconds though. All right, which is what we're going to have to write right now, which doesn't exist. So pause the video and try to work through some -seconds on your own. I'm going with spoilers in 3, 2, and 1. All right, I'm assuming that you guys took a good swing in it. So now let's go over it together. So some seconds consumes a list of songs, right? Because that's what we're passing it anyways. So list of song, and produces the sum seconds of all the songs in the given list, right? So that's, seconds are represented by numbers. All All right, so next is the purpose statement here. So produce the sum seconds of all the songs in the given list. All right, so signature purpose, let's stub this out. Define sum seconds. Consumes a list of songs. All right, and produces the number. We'll just use 0 as a dummy value. And we can do a check expect here for some tests. So seconds. All right, so let's say we're given the empty list, right? This should produce 0 seconds. Let's do another example. So some seconds. And we can grab the examples from up here actually. So list snow and sick, right? Well, we have to add up the seconds of the song and not divide by 60 because that's what total playtime does. All right, so likewise like so. And we can do the same for this other test here, right? Shake and happy. So just gonna do that. Shake and happy, right? And these are their seconds, 2, 1, 9, and 2, 3, 3. All right, and let's do a one element list. All right, one element list test, sum seconds list, and then let's do complicated, right? That is 244 seconds, right? That's the only song in this list, so don't add anything else, right? We can add it to 0. That's what it'll do in the recursive call. So we can make that clear, but you know, it's kind of not necessary, but I'll do it anyways. All right. All right. So that's a good set of examples. So 0 differs from that. It's the feeling of this test for total playtime and this test too. But anyways, that's running against the stub. It seems like it works fine. So find the template that consumes a list of songs that we did the scaffolding for problem A. Let's just use this. All right, and rename this some seconds. All right, so now really pause the video. This should be all the scaffolding needed for some seconds. I'm going with spoilers in 3, 2, and 1. All right, I'm assuming that you guys took a good swing at it. So now let's go over it together. So in the case of the empty list here, we just produce 0, right? Because there are no songs in that list. So it's 0 seconds. Otherwise, in these other cases, right, this 2 song list, right, of Snow and Sick Love and Shake and Happy, right, we need to do an addition here, right? An addition of what? Well, all the individual durations of their songs, right? So in this case, it's going to be the function song-time, right? That's going to grab the timeout of them. So in this case for Shake, it's going to be 219. Happy, it's going to be 233. All right. And what do we want to add it to? Well, some seconds, a recursive call to some seconds, which we'll assume will work for the rest of the list, no matter how long it is. All right, so now this should pass all these tests, and by virtue of finishing this function, it should pass all the total playtime tests, and all 8 tests pass. All right, so now let's move on to problem C. So problem C says, design a function filter-genre, which consumes a list of song and a genre, and produces a list of songs only in that genre, all right? So I'm going to grab the examples up here because we're going to need it, right? And I don't want to keep scrolling up and down. It's a lot of context switching. All right, so pause the video and try to work through filtered genre on your own. I'm going to go over spoilers in 3, 2, and 1. All right, I'm assuming that you guys took a good swing in it. So now let's go over it together. So signature. So filter-genre consumes a list of song and a genre and produces a list of song. That's straight from the problem statement here. So purpose produces only the songs in the given genre. All right. So signature purpose, stub this out, define filter genre consumes a list of songs and a genre and then produces a list of songs, right? Right over here. So what did you use? Empty. All right. So signature purpose stub. Let's do some examples here. Filter genre. All right. So what happens if we're given an empty list and we're going to give it rock? All right. Actually, rock is lowercase, right? So I'm going to scroll down and look for the genres later, but nonetheless, the genres are defined above, but nonetheless, right? So if we are trying to filter all the rock songs, even though the list of songs is empty, well, we should just produce the empty list, all right? Let's do some more examples here. So filter genre of all songs, right? So all songs, right? This here, it's going to be a list that contains all these structures, right? Snow, Sick Love, Shake by Taylor Swift, Shake It Off, and all the other songs, right? All right. So all songs, let's say I only want, let's do something like rock, right? Love rock music. All right, so what should this produce? Well, let's go over all the individual songs one by one and see if they have the rock genre in their genre field, all right? So Snow does have rock, so that's what it's gonna filter out. All right, Sick Love is also a rock pop song, right? So there is rock in there. So Sick. All right, Shake It Off is a pop song. And then Billie Jean by Michael Jackson is pop and R&B. Happy is pop and R&B. Complicated is pop and rock. So we need complicated here. Compla. That's what it's named. So that's 3, right? So 3 songs have been filtered out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. So we can do another example here, but for the sake of time, I'm just gonna, let's just do another example. Why not? We'll do something like R&B. Why not? R&B is a genre. And let's see, which one of these are R&B songs? Going from top to bottom. I can see 1 R&B song and 2 R&B song, right? So Billie Jean by Michael Jackson. And then Happy by Pharrell Williams. And I think that's the only other R&B song. So there are only 2, right? That's fine. So out of all these 6 songs, only 2 of them are R&B. So we produced the list with only 2 of them. All right, so that's a good set of examples. Going to run the stub against their examples here. Empty matches that, and this matches that. That's fine. All right. Going to come out the stub, and let's look for something that consumes a list of songs, right? So I'm going to scroll up here, right? So this is it here, a template that consumes a list of songs that we can use as a scaffold. And likewise, here's all the genres, right? Rock, pop, R&B, and funk. Are there any funks in here? Right here. Yeah, there is 1. All right. So yeah. Filter genre. All right. So now really pause the video. Hopefully this should be all the mental scaffolding needed for filtered genre. I'm gonna go for spoilers in 3, 2, and 1. All right. I'm assuming that you guys took a good swing at it. So now let's go over it together. So looking at this first test here, right? Filtered genre, rock songs of an empty list of songs. Well, just produce an empty list of songs. There's nothing to filter through, right? Like so. Now comes the harder part, all right? So filter genre, all songs that are rock only, right? So sometimes you want to include songs that are rock, and there are, songs that aren't rock, right? Like Taylor Swift, right? It's pop. So we need an if here, right? Because sometimes we want to include something, sometimes we don't. Kind of indicates some decision making is being done here. So in this case, you should be thinking of an if. So if the song has the given genre, right? So let's just think of this at a high level. I'm going to pretend this function exists, right? Has genre, right? This is the song genre. So it's going to take a list of genres, right? So we're going to say the genres here. So we're going to pass it the list of genres, right? So it's going to be this, but instead of songs-temp, it's going to be song-genre. I'm going to review that in a second, right? Has genre, and then the genre itself, right? So, whoops, I forgot that this function takes in 2 arguments, right? The genre itself that we're trying to find, right? So that is going to get passed into has genre, right? Like so. All right, so if it does, right? If it does have the genre, then we want to include it, right? So we're going to need a cons here. And we're going to take the first of the songs list that has the genre. And what else do we want to do? Well, there are other songs in the list that we got to look through. So we have to call the recursive function of filter genre, the call itself with the rest of the list. Likewise, this function takes in 2 arguments, so we're going to pass in the genre there. Otherwise, right, don't include it in the list, right? Just keep looking through the rest of the list, like so. So there we go. All right, so this should work. This is the general structure that will work. Let's just run it. And has genre does not exist, so we're going to have to write this function. So before I go over that, right, song-genres, I'm going to explain how trippy this is, right? Song-genres. Let's go look at the data definition for our songs here, right? Song-genres contains a list of genres. So inside the structure, right, that is an artist, a name, a time, and then a list of genres. So we're processing a list of songs, and inside that list of songs has a field genre that is a list of genres, right? So yeah, it's getting a little more complex here. Nonetheless, right, hopefully this kind of distills it and makes you think at a more higher level. All right. So we're going to write has genre because it doesn't exist yet. So let's just do that. So pause the video and try to work through has genre on your own. Has genre on your own. I'm going to go with spoilers in 3, 2, and 1. All right. I'm assuming that you guys took a good swing in it. So now let's go over it together. So has genre, right? So looking at how we call this function, we're passing it a list of genres, right? Because we're calling song-genres, and that's going to get the genres out of the song. And then, so this has to be a list of genres, right? We could actually, delete this, right? Like so, over here. And then this would be just a song, and then we have to get the song-genres in this function, right? We're still going to have to do song-genres, right? But we would do it in this function, right? But in this case, how I set it up is, it's going to be done here in this function instead. So either way works, but I just did it this way. So that's what I'm going to go with, right? And it also consumes a genre. So over here, and then it produces a Boolean. And I'll show the other way after I write this one, so it's fine. Because there are multiple ways to do this. So has genre consumes a list of genre and produces a Boolean. Right? So signature purpose produces true if the given genre is in the given list of genre. All right. Signature purpose, let's sub this out, define has genre list, and then the genre itself produces a Boolean, so let's do false. All right, so let's just do some examples here. So check expect has genre, so do empty, and then it'll say rock. Well, this should produce false, right? Because it's not, rock is not in this list, right? Let's do another example here. Has genre, we're at the question mark here. All right, so let's do list, rock, pop. All right, so do we have pop in this list? We do have it in this list, right? Let's do one that's failing here. All right, so let's say, do we have R&B in this list of rock and pop? No, we do not. So this should produce false. This example should produce false. That's a good set of tests. Let's just run this. And it says has genre is not defined. Oh, has genre question mark here. That's what it should have done. Should have stubbed it out so this function can at least call itself and work. All right, so we just get differs here now. That's fine. So we'll comment out this out. And, since we haven't wrote the template for list of genre, right, I'm just going to write it on the fly. Right, so define has genre consumes a genre list, and then the genre itself. And we're going to need to do something when it's empty. So empty genre-ls. Right, we're going to do something when it's empty, and then do something when it's not empty. So first of the genre list, and then the rest of the genre list, we're going to need to call this recursively because there's more than one genre in the list. It can be, it can go stretch out for a good amount of time. All right, so I just templated this on the fly. As you get more experience in programming, you won't need to do the template step and the function step into 2 separate steps, but nonetheless, right? So hopefully this should be all the mental scaffolding needed for has genre. Pause the video and try to work through it on your own. With spoilers in 3, 2, and 1. All right, I'm assuming that you guys took a good swing in it, so now let's go over it together. So in this empty case, right, if we're given an empty list, just produce false, right, because it's not here. All right, otherwise, right, what do we want to do? Well, sometimes, right, pop, right, let's say we're looking for pop in this list of rock and pop. Well, if it's in this list, we just want to produce true. Otherwise, we're going to keep looking through the rest of the list, right? So let's just modify this example. I'm going to put R&B in here. B, right? So let's say that we're looking for, so it might be, what if happens if pop is all the way, all the way to the right side, right? We have to keep looking through the rest of the list, right? So, so we're going to need an if here, right? So if it is in this list, we want to produce true, right? So if pop is in this list, we want to produce true. So if this genre is pop, it's equal to the genre that we're giving it, right? Which is passed into the second parameter. All right, then we're done. We just want to produce true. And Control I to reindent here. All right, otherwise, what are we going to do? Well, we want to call has genre with the rest of the given list, which it's already done for us, but I forgot to pass in the second parameter here. which we would have discovered if we ran the code anyways. But nonetheless, right, this seems to be good enough for has genre. And we see that it passes this test and it passes this test because it works by virtue, like so. All right. So let me quickly show you guys this, but has genre, but in the case of when it consumes a list of songs, right? When it consumes a song, right? So I'm going to quickly modify this. I don't want to waste too much time, so I'm going to comment this out. In this case, I'm going to say that it consumes just the song, right? So the has genre is going to be a function that consumes a song. So I'm just going to write the signature. Has genre. It's going to consume a song. My bad. And then a genre, and then produces a boolean. So this is where it still does this exact same purpose statement, more or less. Produces true of the given song, has the given genre. All right, I'm gonna skip the examples in the stub here for the sake of time. So we're given a song, so we'll call it SG, and then a genre, right? And likewise, we just want to know if the song has a given genre. So you can do a con here, right? If the given, okay. That's why it's not going to work, right? If we were to destructure it this way, right? Well, we were going to get these song genres out, right? So song dash genre of the song, right? So that's going to get the list of genres out, but we have to keep iterating through it and making the list smaller, right? Because we have to do the rest of the list of the songs here, right? So this would actually be a bug. This should actually not be good if you were to pass in the song here, right? You have to pass in the list of genre, right? Because the list gets smaller, right? Every time you look through it, right? So, rock, after we're done, rock is not pop, so we have to look through the rest of the list, and then the rest of the list, and then the rest of the list, depending on the list here, right? So, this is not good, right? This should not be first of songs. My bad. Kind of thought through it wrong. And Control Z, all this stuff, right? It did not matter. So I made a mistake earlier when I said that you could just do a song here, right? You can do that way in the future when I introduce more programming concepts, but for now, not really. All right, so this is pretty good for all the answers, right? You're free to submit it to hand in and check your score, like so for playlist, right? But I'm gonna Control I to reindent and refactor this. So has genre, right? This recursive structure, right? This can be rewritten as define has genre, consumes a genre list, right? And then a genre, and we can just call the member function, right? Member, and then pass it in the genre, and then the list. And I think this is member question mark or member, or just member. Well, we'll find out. Oh yeah, it's member question mark. So yeah, this, right? This is equal to all this, right? So if you read through the documentation, you'll find the member function and see that, hey, that's what this does essentially. Like, it looks through this list and finds if this is in here, right? Looks through this list and finds if this pop is in this list. All right, so it does the exact same thing. So that's how you can simplify this further, but either way is correct, like so. All right. Anywho, that is about it for this video, and I will catch you in the next one.